Madam Speaker, the nation is looking on, and they can see what each member is made of. Madam Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to join this debate after Member of Parliament for Princestown. Madam Speaker, and it's interesting that I would join after the member who raised matters relating to the Children's Authority and the care of children. It's not my background, Madam Speaker. However, I was a member of this Parliament. I was in opposition at that time, a senator in the upper house, when Member St. Rose Graves brought the legislation. And it's so interesting because before the legislation, everything was about lights, camera, action for the UNC government. Before the legislation was passed, Madam Speaker, we were in the Parliament at midnight, still debating the legislation. 2 a.m. we were still there. She was ringing bell and catching power. And when you look at the newspaper, Madam Speaker, the Express had already printed that the legislation was passed. Yes, and then the following day there was this convention or meeting of some sort and huge celebration that they had finally passed this bill. So, Madam Speaker, what the member forgot to tell you is even though they passed the law, that's pretty much all they did. They did not set up the regulations or the different supporting framework and institutions to support the law that they had created. That was it. All that work had to be, and then, Madam Speaker, all that work had to then be done by this Member of Parliament for Tobago East, by this government. And members of the opposition party went to court to sue and so on based on the same law that they had created that they knew fully well that they did not set up the regulations for, Madam Speaker. So to stand here and to witness this hypocrisy, it is really something to see. But that is how they operate. And that's not something that I have to spend any long time talking to the people of this nation because they know them fully well. Yeah. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm pleased to join the debate on this 2024-2025 budget. I want to commend the Minister of Finance for delivering what we have described as a reasonable budget, for delivering something that is practical and a blueprint to development that we can work with, Madam Speaker. I want to also salute the Member of Parliament for Arima and the Minister of Planning, because oftentimes we forget to mention the Ministry of Planning and we forget the hard work that goes into making sure that we have the allocations that can actually work in some way, form, or fashion. I want to commend every member of this government, every supporter of this government. It is not easy, as the Member of Parliament for Tobago East said, it's not easy to lead our people, especially at this very, very difficult and sensitive time. So I would like to say I think it's a good budget. It's realistic, it's practical, it's progressive. Madam Speaker, it provides measures to improve the lives of people from all walks of life. People who are from the bustling streets of Port of Spain all the way to the clean, green, serene villages of Tobago. The Chamber said that it's a reasonable budget, and many of the Tobagonians with whom I come into contact on my weekly walkabout and so on have said, nothing to jump and scream or write home about, but certainly something that we can work with. Madam Speaker, for me, what really stands out is that we're doing the best we can with what we have. catering to the most urgent needs of our citizens, and making sure that there is a robust safety net for the vulnerable, while not sabotaging the quality of life for the children of tomorrow. It's all about sustainability. It's about building on a firm foundation, protecting our legacy, and implementing measures that promote greater success and productivity. Strategies that will facilitate a more fruitful and rewarding opportunities for the children of our country. As I said, it's a blueprint for growth, for resilience, I would say productivity and equity. So I salute our government as it relates to that. I listened to the contributions of those opposite, and it's interesting for me to point out, I must point out that many of them are saying to the nation, hurry up and vote the UNC back in power. And I'm saying, we've delivered this budget. We are focused on the next generation and not so much the next election. Madam Speaker, at the end of the day, we have to take hard decisions. We have to make difficult steps as it relates to building this nation, having the right resources and the right framework so that we can truly support our people. We have to close off some things, start some things new to ensure that our children and our children's children can be happy. At the end of the day, yes, we want to satisfy the needs of everybody. Today, we, the adults who have benefited over the years from all that Trinidad and Tobago has to give, but we also have to be mindful that we have little ones to provide for who are depending on us to make the right decision and to leave something in the kitty for them. Madam Speaker, I won't spend too much time on those opposite, but I want to point out there are two contributions that really piqued my interest. I listened to a member from Mayaro from the UNCB team, and he was talking about, yes, they're the independent. What Madam Speaker is so interesting is they talk about they're ready to unite the nation and have a new, and they can't even unite themselves, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the UNC A team not ponging on the desk for UNC B team. Madam Speaker, UNC B team, it seems like they're caucusing on their own, they're coming in their own time. Madam Speaker, and I think that UNC B team really made some real solid points over the last couple days. And they can't even find it in their little hearts and heads to say, you know what, that's a good point on behalf of the development of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. All they know is they're vexed and they're not ponging for them. If it's only, yes, exactly. If it's only 18 and 19 of you and you can't pull it together,
the bad mind. Wicked.
how are you going to pull 1.5 million people together in a time like this? So I don't really have them to study, but I recognize that member for Princestown, member for Mayaro, and Oropouche West, I think it's Oropouche West, spoke about the PNM being filled with corruption and all these things. And I'm saying, is this the same UNC? Because they're new members, Madam Speaker. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, I may be relatively young in parliamentary terms, but I ain't tongue long. I ain't tongue long, Madam Speaker. I heard you caution member from Princestown, and you told him you're 9 years old here and you're a senior. Madam Speaker, this is my 15th year in this parliament. So I know very well what they represent, Madam Speaker. We as a country suffered bitterly under their watch. Yes? So for them to come now to tell us, come into their arms, they represent the land or the entity of milk and honey. I say, Madam Speaker, we know exactly who they are, and we know exactly what they give. Madam Speaker, we know what they gave when they were in government. Well, people say, don't take Bullifay and look in the night for you could see clear day. Madam Speaker, I was here in opposition from 2010 to 2015. I was here when this same UNC used $6.5 million to wreck a $2.2 million fire truck. I was here, Madam Speaker, when I was here and witnessed the $40 million MP contract to the Gopal family, with whom the member for Siparia had spent 3 months as reported. Madam Speaker, I was here for Section 64. We were here late at night thinking, 34, we were thinking we were doing something good for the country, Madam Speaker, and all of us were hoodwinked, not knowing that they were doing underhanded stuff with their friends and family. I was here, Madam Speaker, 28 years old, 29 years old, Madam Speaker. I was young, but I was able to see what they were doing. I was here, Madam Speaker, when UNC workers used to have to show up for work outside the Parliament and sign the time book outside the Parliament. They had to strike in order to be able to get paid. And when the reporters asked them what are you supporting in front of the Parliament today? Well, I hear I working for Miss Hawaii, whoever she is.
I do it again.
I was here, Madam Speaker. So we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, know exactly what they did. Somebody spoke about, it was the member for Oropouche West who spoke about P&M bigwigs living off of the backs of taxpayers. Madam Speaker, I was here when the member for Siparia, then Prime Minister, took a plane load of persons to India at $15 million of taxpayers' dollars, and there is no foreign direct investment to show for it, Madam Speaker. I was here also, Madam Speaker, when she was taking her sister up and down as personal nurse and doctor on the backs of taxpayers. So, Madam Speaker, and the Member of Parliament for Lopino Bonnier reminded us of EFCL. It's interesting today to hear the member from Mayaro raised, because they like to quote for us, Transparency International. Madam Speaker, I didn't know about Transparency International before I became an opposition senator, but that is all they would sing and cry to us about Transparency International. Madam Speaker, they brought Miss Transparency International herself into their government as a minister of planning. Yes? And before she could make a good year, she was fired for not being transparent. Yes? For corruption in my Irish accent, Madam Speaker. And she was accused of participating in a tendering process to award a company owned by herself and her husband a contract. And on top of that, she had put her secretary on the evaluation committee, and she did not declare that she was a member or an owner of the company, Miss Transparency International herself. So for the member of Mayaro today to raise Transparency International, they love to quote Transparency International, but we were here live and direct, up close and personal, and we know exactly what the UNC is made of. So if Trinidad and Tobago want to play around with them, that would be up to them. By the end of the day, that's a whole story on its own. Madam Speaker, I want to say, as the young people say, they're not like us. Yeah. There's no other way to say it. They're not like us. There are some people who try to paint a broad brush and say, well, okay, all politicians are the same. But I would say today, and the records would show, they are not like us. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Prime Minister for his intelligent leadership. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Prime Minister for raising up a standard in government, in politics, maintaining order, maintaining decency, maintaining dignity, maintaining discipline, because if he wasn't that kind of leader, God alone knows all that might have happened. Yes, but we are the PNM and we are held by a certain standard. There are things that people would criticize us for and beat on us for that they wouldn't even blink twice if somebody else or another side were to do it. Citizens hold us to a higher standard. Sometimes we may think it's unreasonable, sometimes we may think it's unfair, but I don't think we'll have it any other way. Because we are the People's National Movement. We are the PNM of Dr. Eric Williams, George Chambers, Patrick Mane, and Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, and we stand by that. I'm pleased to be a member of this cabinet, and I'm humbled by the opportunity to serve the good people of Tobago. I came from the bowels, the belly, the gut of the mighty people of the majestic Tobago West constituency. And it's a real privilege for me to represent and serve the people who nurtured and raised me, the villagers whom I owe all that I am. I thank the villagers, I thank my people for taking the time to know me like they have and to trust me like they do, because there are many from all little corners opposite that go to their homes behind my back to try to tell them all sorts of stories about me, to try to get them to think and act differently, but they call me up and say, hey, come, I have something to tell you. This is what they say. And I'm pleased to know that those who know me, know me. Madam Speaker, as I walk my constituency each and every month, I want to thank my constituents warmly for welcoming me into their homes and for the time that they take to advise me, to encourage me, and some of them even to school me. I'm grateful. I owe them a debt of gratitude, and I vow, as my motto says, to always be right there with you. We have come a long way together, from training and mentorship programs for youth, empowerment of our men, skills development for our women, roving public days, monthly walks, house visits, monthly school engagements, or human library sessions that the women enjoy so much, the legal clinics, home refurbishments, church refurbishment, food support, Easter and Christmas bazaars, school uniform, textbook, and supplies support each year for children, for hundreds of children. Matter of fact, this year we supported over 240 children. We offer support to the needy, the unwell, to athletes, to youth, to groups. You name it, Madam Speaker, the list goes on. It has been and it continues to be a true privilege to journey with them and to serve them. This budget will allow us to redouble our efforts as we embark on a next chapter, stronger together, increased minimum wage, continued support for children's education, literacy support for adults who have missed the opportunity at school. You check the length and breadth or front to back of our budgetary statement and the package. There is something in there for each and everyone to better themselves. Now, the Tobago House of Assembly, Madam Speaker, received an allocation. Well, they asked for $3.956 billion, and they received an allocation of $2.599 billion. The Tobago House of Assembly, it's clear to all now that they're displeased and they didn't get what they requested. They said it's a budget of wickedness, they didn't get enough, and so on. Interestingly, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Sport and Community Development did not get even half of what it requested. Madam Speaker, I could join the chorus and say, I didn't get enough, and things bad, and we can't do nothing, we can't move, and all that is being said. And I know for sure that there are many other colleagues. I know nobody got what they asked for. I can safely say that as a member of the cabinet, I can safely say that not one minister got what they asked for. And for the time that I have been here, 5 years in opposition and 9 going on 10 years in government, I don't know for ministers to get exactly what they asked for. Of course, we have dreams and aspirations and plans that we have for the upcoming year. But we have to remain mindful that we are working with a set revenue. Yes? And the budget is an exercise based on revenue versus expenditure. Of course, you have limitless expenditure and expectations, but your revenue is what it is. And in order to get more or be allocated more, we have to make more. And until we make, and then we have to also be honest and frank with ourselves that in a primarily energy-based economy, we are price takers, not price makers. The price of oil and gas doesn't depend on us. We're kind of small fries in the business, Madam Speaker. So we have to wait on the others and listen for what price the world market is going to carry, Madam Speaker. So sometimes you start the year off thinking that the oil and gas price is going to be at this. Oh gosh, man, Kuvasol, your season, you're in here long enough. Madam Speaker, talk to Kuvasol, please.
Member for Tobago, West, continue. I think he's all right now.
I know that I'm a little friend, Madam Speaker. I don't know why he's behaving like that today. So, Madam Speaker, interestingly, I listen to, and as much as I say we have to look at revenue versus expenditure, we also have to remember, let's say for me, Minister of Sport, I would love to do all the sporting facilities in Trinidad and wherever I'm allowed to in Tobago. In San Fernando West. I would love to fix all the playgrounds and even stuff that I'm not responsible for. I wish I could have fixed because they just blame me anyway. Madam Speaker, but we can't. Yes, we have hopes and aspirations and dreams and desires to fix all these things. But you have to be mindful of what that, in the Ministry of Education, they have schools to fix. At the Children Authority, they have people to pay. In Toko, they have their own facility to deal with. Every different ministry have different priorities. So we have to be mindful of each other. Yes, we have to, in the same way when you look at constituencies, we have to be mindful of each other. I remember when Tobago East was getting, being honest, Madam Speaker, that's the only thing I know how to be. Madam Speaker, there was a time Tobago East was getting Roxborough Administrative Complex, Roxborough Fire Station, Roxborough Police Station, Hospital. Madam Speaker, and I hear down in the West, Moriah Health Center, I was Scarborough Health Center. I felt like, okay, what's happening for us down in the West? And then, Madam Speaker, you know the people in the Tobago East still vote me out anyway. So, you know, Madam Speaker, you understand how I'm feeling? Right, in the THA, but I'm saying they didn't give the numbers they were supposed to be given for that kind of, in my humble opinion. Anyway, Madam Speaker, as Member of Parliament for Tobago West, I was feeling, as the young people say, some type of way. But Madam Speaker, I was feeling a how. Madam Speaker, you look from constituency to constituency and everybody have needs and everybody want more for their constituency. Yes? So we have to be mindful of each other. And I know when I say that, I hear Tobagonians say, or some the Tobagonians that usually call Radio Tambrin in the morning, or the Tobagonians that call the other one, is it 89.5, the other one? The Tobagonians that call these stations, they would say, well, my concern is development in Tobago. I am not concerned about what's going on in Trinidad. But for as long as we are a part of this nation, for as long as we all have to eat from this national pie, yes, we have to be mindful of each other. So no matter the size of the national pie, everybody wants a decent piece, and we have to remember to be mindful of each other. So each and every one of us, I'm sure Faris wants to join the chorus too. I'm sure.
Member of Sanford.
Sorry, member for of San Fernando West. My apologies, Madam Speaker. He would like to get his car park going in Skinner Park. Oh my gosh, that Cocoa Reed Community Center, Member of Parliament for that area, tired, called me and text me about that, Madam Speaker. Everybody, so many, I don't want to call them out because then it would be a scene. So, Madam Speaker, Barataria Community Center, so many different projects. We can all cry out and say we want more, but we just have to really remember to be mindful of each other. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, we have to when we receive the allocation, when you see what you really get, Madam Speaker, and if I'm allowed to share my figures, yes? I requested $1.6 billion, Madam Speaker, hopeful to do all the grand things, run the programs, fix the fields, and so on, give Kuva his swimming pool, and so on. Those are my plans, right? Those are my plans. So imagine asking for $1.6 billion. You're ready to go. You have your team ready to go as soon as the budget is passed, and you got $400 million. When you compare, Madam Speaker, that is Zuma's and Bongo money. When you think about what you really want to do, yes? So, Madam Speaker, you just have to prioritize and reprioritize. Try your very best to manage prudently, practice accountability and transparency in the conduct of the state affairs. You see, I'm not sure if the Tobago House of Assembly could say that that is exactly what they do after they've received the figures. Because, Madam Speaker, back then the House of Assembly used to state in the month of June what they hope for. And then when they find out what the allocation is going to be, they go to like a retreat and then come back to the House and debate and let the people of Tobago know what their priorities are. That has not happened, I think, for the last 2-3 years. So whatever decisions the Assembly made, whether they change their priority or decide to spend the money on X, Y, or Z, we don't know. And I got to learn that the monthly report to the House, to be tabled in the House, that's not being done either. So we don't know as Tobagonians what was spent, what wasn't spent, what the money was spent on, how much in unspent balances. And interestingly, the Tobago House of Assembly, what we don't spend in recurrent expenditure, we can hold for the next year and put it with development with development monies. Yeah, we call that unspent balances. We don't know over the last couple of years what the unspent balances were. And you would note last year, Madam Speaker, $100 million was given to the Tobago House of Assembly at mid-year. And I hear them say, well, when we came in, we saw bills, we had bills. We all have bills when we come into government because we are running a country. So, of course, the previous government, whether UNC or whatever, would have bills. Yes, they requested $100 million from the Parliament. The Parliament gave the $100 million, but we don't know whether they paid the bills, if they paid some, if there's a residual balance, what's happening. Madam Speaker, the same could be said for the oil spill money, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I went to buy fish in Lambo last week. And as I go to walk away, there's one girl working on that specific spot, and she was looking at me, hands akimbo, and I said, why are you looking unhappy? She said, I'm happy because I can get my oil spill money. And I said, she said, you could find out what's going on with my oil spill money, and I said, I'll find out. But then I thought to myself, if the House of Assembly received $50 million towards paying people and treating with the bills, the first set of people who should have been paid should be Lambo fisher folk, because they were directly impacted. So in your prioritizing and reprioritizing and shifting your monies around and so on, your $50 million, the first set of people that should have received monies are the people on the ground, Lambo fisher folk especially. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, the bulk of the cleanup expenses were also handled by Ministry of Energy Affairs, also handled by Petroleum, Heritage Petroleum, and other Ministry of Works also had a hand to play. So for the House of Assembly to be giving the impression like it's this $150 million and nobody else can help them anyway, Madam Speaker, that is wrong. That is untrue, Madam Speaker, and that is fooling the people to the highest degree. So I hope the House of Assembly would consider, or the current administration in the House of Assembly would consider, and at least offer some support before anybody anywhere else. Yes, it should really be Lambo Fisherfolk. Madam Speaker, I also hear the cry coming out from the House of Assembly that, okay, the 4.03%, you know, interestingly, Madam Speaker, the dispute resolution committee, we came up with 4.03% to 6.9%. Over the years, governments have been giving the Tobago House of Assembly 4.03%, flat to the coin. Yes? Under the UNC government, it was to the coin that even if they ended up with 0.33333 of a cent, that is what was recorded. I don't know if they rounded up or down after, but when you did the multiplication, it was 4.03% flat. I must say I'm pleased that the Minister of Finance have been going a little above the 4.03%, Madam Speaker, but just like everybody else, we would all say more is needed to do what we want to do and to realize our aspiration. But interestingly, Madam Speaker, over the years, we have seen the Tobago House of Assembly under the leadership of persons like Mr. Orville London and Kelvin Charles and so on, do a lot with 4.03%. Just because we didn't get what we wanted, it doesn't mean that the whole program just stopped. We still have to produce, we still have to serve, we still have to deliver to the people of Tobago. And Madam Speaker, over that period, with that same 4.03%, we delivered community centers from Bethesda Community Center, Buku Community Center, John Dial, Palatuve, Lowlands Community Center. We invested in upgrading equipment at the quarry in Tobago, Madam Speaker. Infrastructural programs, Northside Connector Road, Blackrock Katsin Drama Steel Pan Facility, all of that was delivered under that same 4.03%. We gave land to Buku Buccaneers, land to the Hindu community in Tobago, land to the Spiritual Baptist community in Tobago. We built Scarborough Health Center. We did enterprise assistant grants for the small businesses in Tobago, solar lighting system at Cove, lit playing fields, new primary and secondary school. When I was a young girl, Madam Speaker, we only had Bishops, Scarborough Sec, Compre, had Harmons there too. It is the THA under Mr. Orville London who built Speyside High, Goodwood High, Mason Hall Government and so on. At the same 4.03%. We even went on to build RC primary school. And there were those who were saying it's too much money to spend on a primary school and it looks like a university. Those little children don't deserve that. But now everybody wants their child to go to Scarborough RC school. Kendall swimming pool, YMCA swimming pool, so many things that I can list, Madam Speaker. Send children to school under the Division of Education. I remember, Madam Speaker, in around 2010, 2011, the hospital in Tobago was sending its laundry to Trinidad because we didn't have a working laundry in Tobago. So we had to send our stuff down to Trinidad to be washed with Mount Hope, Madam Speaker, and we had to wait in line. Madam Speaker, it's with that same 4.03% that the then Chief Secretary Orville London decided to make that investment to build the Fort Tobago or Scarborough Laundry in order to service the Scarborough Hospital. same 4.03%, so the program doesn't stop. And you don't tell people, well, you can't submit your application for business development grants because we don't have no money. Everybody you're telling, hold up, because we don't have any money. You can't stop the program and the development of people, because one thing that's sure, your allocation, you got your allocation. You got your allocation. And I think the people of Tobago deserve to know what happened to their monies. What happened to the allocations that were meant to develop them? Yes? Yes, we can rally around a road leading to nowhere and a roundabout at Shervan. We could also rally around the stage in the sea, but after that, what do you really have to show for it? So we as Tobagoans, these are the questions we are asking, Madam Speaker. Interestingly, the people in Tobago who are crying this cry, the now administration, the present administration, interestingly, they are not making mention of the additional funding spent by central government. And that isn't something new. That is something that has been happening over the years, whether it's money spent on the same Roxborough Police Station, Roxborough Fire Station, Shervan Police Station, the inter-island ferry, inter-island travel, cargo boat arrangement, and we're getting ready to procure another cargo boat to serve the inter-island for the business people and so on. The $885 million that's going to be spent on the airport, nobody's making mention of this funding to go towards the development of Tobago. This is money developing Tobago also. So it's one thing to say you didn't get enough and you'd like more, and so all well and good. But to give the impression that what the Tobago House of Assembly got is for Tobago and the rest of the money is going to be spent in Trinidad and Trinidad only, that is a bold-faced untruth, Madam Speaker. The records would show where we built Cove in 2009 at $100 million. The records would show where we upgraded the electricity at Cove at $139 million. The gas pipeline at Cove, where, Madam Speaker, the Hillsborough Dam that was delivered by the Minister of Public Utilities at $64 million. I remember when Minister Laventille, now Minister of National Security, was Minister of Public Utilities, when he delivered the $125 million wastewater treatment plant to Tobago, Madam Speaker. We speak about the $8 million well. A brilliant and very successful project, $8 million well dug in Bad Hill, serving Tobago West with water, booster stations, laying projects. Madam Speaker, and I can go on and on and on and on. And as we speak to, I remember lighting Pigot Trace in Canby. Those people received light for the first time when Minister of Public Utilities and I went there and delivered light. Big Stick Gully in Bethel, Madam Speaker. And now we're speaking about delivering a marina and doing more for Magdalena and so on. So, Madam Speaker, I'm just saying, to give the impression that the central government does not spend additional money on developing Tobago, that would not be so. And separate and apart from that, in every single ministry, almost every single ministry, I would say 90% of the ministries, there are projects and programs run by central government, run by those ministries that the Tobago people benefit from also. I saw last year Minister of Planning delivered solar lighting to the main ridge in Tobago. I saw Ministry of Youth. I was there with Ministry of Youth last week delivering grants to young people who are setting up their businesses in Tobago. Madam Speaker, what the Children Authority is doing, none of that money is coming from the Tobago House of Assembly. We recently delivered home improvement and home construction grants from the Ministry of Housing. That did not come out of the Tobago House of Assembly budget. You hear the Minister of Social Development spending billions on pension and social assistance grants, public assistance grants, disability grants. Not 1 cent of that is coming out from the Tobago House of Assembly allocation. And I see Minister of Agriculture delivering grants in Tobago, helping our farmers to modernize their farm. Not a cent of that coming out of the Tobago House of Assembly budget, Madam Speaker. Ministry of Trade delivers grants and technical training and so on to persons in Tobago, Madam Speaker. That's not coming out of the Tobago House of Assembly budget. So if we could just at least be honest with the people of Tobago and stop trying to create a situation of we and them and trying to cause animosity between Trinidad and Tobago. For as long as we have existed, it has been budget for the Tobago House of Assembly, and then the rest of it is spent nationally. Nationally. Under my own ministry, Ministry of Sport and Community Development, the National Commission for Self-Help, delivering grants in Tobago, programs. We have Empower TT being delivered in Tobago, assisting young men who have problems and who have challenges in charting their future and so on. The Boss Lady Project, all of that is being delivered in Tobago. Not a cent, Madam Speaker, not 1 cent out of the Tobago House of Assembly budget. Training programs, the refurbishment of Dwight York Stadium, not a cent coming out of the Tobago. So, Madam Speaker, I really think that, Madam Speaker, I provide support to the athletes that are in Tobago, Madam Speaker. Half of them cannot access the Lalon Gordon Fund that the Tobago House of Assembly has. They don't even know where to find the application form. We don't even know if an application form exists, Madam Speaker. They all find their way at the doorsteps of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, and we do assist them. We don't say, oh, Sport in Tobago is under the division of the THA. No, once you come, we consider your application. We provide support to their dragon boat teams, provide support to their sporting events, Madam Speaker, you name it. The central government, when they submit their applications from Tobago, we consider, we don't turn them back. We offer the assistance, Madam Speaker. And it's interesting because some of the same athletes...
Member, you have 2 more minutes left of original speaking time. You're entitled to 10 more minutes to wind up your presentation, if you wish. Yes? So.
Wow, that time went fast. But Madam Speaker, I want to touch on my ministry. And I hope I get the opportunity, I will get the opportunity to go to radio stations and so on to continue doing my talking. I don't have any regret as they blame Minister Webster Roy for talking about Tobago while she was here. It's the people of Tobago that have me here. You understand? So, Madam Speaker, I wouldn't be a minister or a member of cabinet if the people of Tobago didn't vote for me. So I have a duty to report to them first and make sure that their business is in order. Madam Speaker, as it relates to the ministry for which I have responsibility, sport, Madam Speaker, it has been a rough year for sport. There are many who are saddened that, okay, we don't medal at this Olympic, Madam Speaker, but there are some other exciting things that happened in sport this year. We have to remember that we focus on more than athletics. The Olympics focuses primarily athletics. You have some swimming and so on going on there. But we are responsible for 54 different sporting disciplines. So you have rugby taking place. You have hockey team going overseas to represent Trinidad and Tobago and doing quite well. We've had the opportunity to see athletes like new athletes. Because although some people have become frustrated with the older seasoned athletes, there are some new ones who are on the scene now really making waves. You have Akil Campbell doing outstanding work in cycling. You have Daniel Dascent placing third at the 87 kg event in Taekwondo. You have boxer Tiana Guy doing extremely well in boxing. Akeem Stewart, of course, the usual, brought home medals, the silver medal for us from the Paralympics. And of course, Madam Speaker, you have a young Makira Wallace, a cyclist,
I think she's about 14 years old, very, very young, blazing a trail out there. You have new 12-year-old Makeda Bain from Tobago. We recently supported her to the tune of $100,000 to assist her in her training and getting her work done and so on. So, Madam Speaker, we've been doing work in supporting the athletes, supporting the national governing bodies. But national governing bodies have to remember that it's not only about the financial support. You have your role to play in developing your plans, making sure you have the right coaching systems and so on, making sure that you do your talent identification and talent searches, that you have units and persons who work on athlete welfare and so on. We continue to develop our facilities, swimming pools from the swimming pool in Laventille, the swimming pool in Maloney, swimming pool in Mova. We've been able to build. We've done one in Darbadee also, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have already started refurbishment at the Atto Bolden facility. We also did some field work recently at Hasty Crawford Stadium, and we are currently evaluating tenders for the track at both Hasty Crawford Stadium. UDCOT is responsible for the replacement of the track in Dwight York Stadium, and they are going to be doing a similar process, Madam Speaker. UDCOT is also doing work at Jean Pierre Complex. They have already started with that works. Madam Speaker, we've also been hosting a lot of international events, whether it's in cricket, CPL, ICC cricket. Madam Speaker, we hosted the Summer of Tennis here in Trinidad and Tobago, really promoting sport tourism. In the ministry, we have the Pink Rain campaign, promoting women and girls in sports. We have the April pools, where we trained over 900 persons in how to swim and how to save others while swimming and so on. We've done the adaptive classes to help people who are physically, who are special needs, teaching teachers, teaching coaches and so on, so that they can properly manage these athletes, Madam Speaker. We have capacity building for coaches, administrators, and managers. We continue to develop facilities across Trinidad in the different communities. From we did Boogma Latrace, we did work throughout Trinidad, Madam Speaker, as it relates to sport. Brian Lara Cricket Academy, we did Maruga facility, Mahaika facility, National Racket Center. We just put down the turf at the hockey center. We're having some challenges there, but we're doing some testing for 2 months, and then we'll know if we have to do more. As it relates to community development, you know, we have over 300 community centers. We have been able to deliver Chickland, San Fernando North, Bagatelle, Diego Martin Central, Diego Martin North, Indian Trail, Quarry Road, Taradale, Tishier, Lisa's Garden, My Tower, Maraval, and the list goes on and on and on. We've been working with YTEP, Ministry of Digital Transformation, to run programs through these different community centers. And what I'm pleased about is the IT centers that the Ministry of Digital Transformation have been delivering and building throughout these community centers. We have about 6 community centers with gyms operating in order to promote healthy living. We have the Empower TT program, working with young men who have dropped out of school, giving them a new start. Boss Lady Project, teaching women life skills and handicraft and so on, helping them to develop skills so they can be entrepreneurs. Madam Speaker, Grow It Yourself, promoting a culture of agriculture in communities so you can build your own kitchen gardens and you can nourish yourself and so on, Madam Speaker. We have a very robust mediation program in order to ensure that conflicts at the community level don't escalate into criminal activity, and we handle over 2,000 cases per year. The system in Trinidad and Tobago is used as a template throughout the entire Caribbean. Madam Speaker, on Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition, we are in our 61st year, and I am pleased to announce that the numbers have grown over the years as it relates to community groups. We have 224 community groups that came out this year. Ms. Larian Rive is from Tobago. The numbers in Tobago have increased tremendously to the point that we have to go to Tobago now to give them their own preliminaries, Madam Speaker. We've been developing new policy in community development where we work with private sector to deliver to communities. So the crab farm that was delivered in Tobago, you have the dirt oven delivered in Beausejour, you have Digicel working and have delivered internet cafes in different communities like Perseverance and so on, Madam Speaker. So the list goes on and on and on. We are doing tremendous work with our women, our youth, and our men, Madam Speaker. It's about building resilient communities, helping people to recognize their talent and develop their skills at the end of the day towards building Trinidad and Tobago community by community, assisting our athletes and our community groups. We spend over $52 million each year providing support directly into the hands of athletes, national governing bodies, and community groups. And we are going to continue to invest in that way, Madam Speaker, and that's separate and apart to the $20 million that over the years provided by Prime Minister's Sport and Culture Fund and the over $20 million provided by the NLCB. So athletes have options, Madam Speaker. So we continue to do our work. We continue to focus on developing the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to let Tobagonians and Trinidadians know you have seen this People National Movement buckle down and get the work done. Madam Speaker, we've made the hard decisions, we've taken the difficult steps, the unpopular steps, because it's all about looking at the welfare of the next generation and not necessarily the next election, Madam Speaker. So it has been a privilege to present